Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of One Man Stream. In today's episode, we are going to create this graphic right here. What we're also going to do is we're also going to have several different layers on this graphic, and it's going to allow us to do different things. This is going to be the main graphic, and this is what would be at the bottom of our screen during the competition. But we can also do this with the graphic. We could use this at the very beginning of the fight just to introduce the fighters. Then we also have this that we can use. We could use this as well. Red fighter versus blue fighter without the promotion logo. And if we click this button right here, it's going to take us back to our original graphic. It looks like three graphics, but it's actually just three graphics in one. And we'll show you how to build this and control it in vMix UTC. We'll have this and so much more for you today on One Man Stream. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to draw us out a rectangle. Now over here on this left hand side, you see several different buttons when I highlight them. This is an ABC button. This allows us to do text. This allows us to create rectangles. This allows ovals, a triangle. This is also a triangle. And this right here is going to bring in an image. This right here is for scrolling text. And this right here is for 3D text. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click on this button right here, and we're going to bring us out a rectangle. And just to make it easy on ourselves, I want to make sure that it's the same dimensions as this rectangle here. So I'm going to click on this one that says left rectangle, and I'm going to go up here under format, and we can see that it's 624 by 135. So let's click on this one and also make it 624 by 135. And then something we also want to check on this one is you can see where we have a skew here, and then we also have rounded corners. We have a couple things going on. We have a radius that we're rounding over on the X and Y. So we have 20 on the Y, 20 on the X and 30 on the Y. And then we're also doing a minus 20 skew on this side. So let's go ahead and click on this. Let's go ahead and do this minus 20. And then let's go ahead and go back to format, and let's do the 20 and 30 on the radius like the other one was. So you can see that we have that shape. Now let's go up here and click on this one again, and let's go under home, and let's see what the fill color is. The fill color is 1, 2, 3. It's the third gray down. It says black lighter 25%. So let's click on this. Click on this, black lighter 25%. And then what we're also going to do is we're going to put this edging around the edge. We can see we have a thickness of 5, and the color is this copperish color right here. So we're going to click on this. We're going to change this to 5, and then we're going to click on that copper color, and you can see that we get this outline. Well, now that we have this one, we're going to cheat a little bit. We don't have to go back and redo all these settings again. What we can do is click on this, and we can right click and copy, and right click and paste. And then what I'm going to do is use my arrow keys to bring it across. And then we're going to go back up to effects, and we're going to change that skew from -20 to 20. And we need to move it over just a little bit more. And I think that's going to do it right there. Now you'll notice where we have this line that shows up, and that's not something we want. So we're going to click on this, go back to format, and our height is 135. So what we're going to do is we're going to create us a new rectangle and make it 135. Actually, what we'll do, we're going to make it less than that. We know that these, the thickness of these two lines is 5. So you would think if we took 10 off of it, we would be where we need to be. So let's go ahead and do that, and let's change it to that same color. Now we can go home. And click on this, and you can see where we got rid of that line. Now, if you didn't follow me there, what I did is I went up here, and under format, I saw that it was 135. Well, when we created the edging, we made it a thickness of 5. So we had to account for a thickness of 5 at the top and a thickness of 5 at the bottom. You add those two 5s together, you get 10. You take 10 from 135, you get 125. And that is indeed what we made the height of this right here. That's just a little trick that I use a lot. And when we have rectangles like this and there's something that we don't want to show, I'll just go ahead and make a rectangle just to cover that up. And that's how I figure out the size that I need. So that was done pretty quickly. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to figure out these two bars right here. So that's the white bar, and let's see what the dimensions on this. It's 10 wide and it's 25 high. So we're going to go ahead and click on this rectangle, 10 by 125. And you'll also know that we have this, or notice we have this rotated. Let's go under Effects, and you can see where we have a skew of -18. So we're going to go ahead and add that to this one. Skew -18. Go ahead and bring it up and put it where we need it. So I hit the menu bar right here, and now I'm going to use my arrow keys, and I'm just going to bring it up, and then I'm going to bring it over a little bit. And I like where that is, so we're going to leave that there. Now you'll notice on the top one, this particular promoter, instead of using the red and blue corner, they use the white and black corner. So we're going to use red and blue on this one just to designate it a little bit different. So we're going to right click on this and copy, right click and paste. And then we're going to bring it over. Again, we highlight it on the menu bar. And now we're using our arrow keys. We're going to go up here and we're going to change the skew on the x-axis from -18 to 18. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go to Home, we're going to go to Fill, and we are going to make it blue. So now we have our red corner designation and our blue corner designation. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and put in the red and the blue fighter. We're going to go up here to ABC. We're going to drag us out a box, and that's a little bit wide, so we're going to shorten it up just a little bit, and we are going to click on the center so it's in the middle of our area, left to right, and we're going to click on this to make it in the center up and down. And we're going to use our Nighthawk fill that we've used before, just so you can see the difference. And we're going to change the fill color to white. And then we're going to increase the text size to about 96. Ooh, that's huge. And what we're going to do is we're going to come over here where these 4 arrows point to the edges. We're going to click on the down arrow here, and we're going to click on Shrink. So whatever we put in here, it's going to stay within this highlighted box. So let's double click on this, and now we'll just type in Red Fighter. And you can see as I continue to type how the text stays inside the box. So we would have called this Red Fighter. We would have named this Red Fighter. So we're going to copy, right-click copy, right-click paste. And then we're going to use our arrow keys once again. And we're going to bring this all the way over to the other side. Let me see how that's lined up there. Okay, looks like we need to bring our blue bar over just a smidge, so I'm going to click on it and highlight it, and then we're going to bring it over. And you can see I've got this corner right here, right almost on the edge of that red bar. So we want to make that the same on the blue bar. So we're going to bring the blue bar over a little bit more. And maybe just a little bit more, just so that we have things symmetrical. We're going to click in here and we're going to change this to Blue Fighter. And you can see how that shrinks down once we start typing. And now we have our Red Fighter and our Blue Fighter. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to bring in our timer. So we're going to click on the ABC. And I want it just right on the edge of those 2 bars. So I'm going to click on it, and then I'm going to put it in the middle left to right and in the center up and down. We're going to go back to our font, We're going to change the color to white, and we're going to double click in here, and I'm going to type in 3 minutes, and we're going to highlight it, and we're going to make it bigger. So we'll make it 60. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make this background. Well, the background is really just a rectangle, but when you look at that rectangle, you can see that we rounded over the X and Y by a count of 20. And so we're going to do the same thing for this one. So let's go ahead and click our rectangle, bring us a rectangle over here, and let's go ahead and make this 20 on the X and 20 on the Y, and change that fill color to white. And it might be a little bit thicker than the other one. Let's see what this one is. This one was 201 by 51. And we're not going to be able to use those same dimensions here, so let's just shrink it down a little bit. Okay, so for demonstration purposes, we're just going to go with this rectangle. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to bring in the round indicator. So we're going to go back up to ABC. Going to put us a text box in here. Again, we're going to center it in the middle left to right, in the middle up and down. We're going to go back to our Nighthawk fill again. And we're going to use the shrink function again. We're going to highlight it and type 1 of 3. And let's make it just a little bit bigger. It's at 36 now. Let's go ahead and make it 48. We can make it a little bit bigger. Go ahead and make it 60 and click on the menu bar and bring it down just a smidge. You can see how quick and easy and straightforward it was just to create this graphic. Now, what I would do with this graphic is I would import it into vMix. First of all, I'd go up here and save it, click on File, and then click on Save. And then I would import it into vMix, and then I would map these components to different parts of my vMix production. I would map this red fighter to the data source that I bring in from an Excel spreadsheet, and I have a column that's designated red fighter. Let me see if I can bring that in or show you. Okay, and this is the last promotion that I did, and you can see the information here. Let's go ahead and bring the graphic in again. So the part of the graphic that says red fighter, I would map it to this part right here where it says red fighter. The part where it says blue fighter on the graphic, I would map it to this column right here where it says blue fighter. And then there's a lot of other information that I map to other graphics that I use throughout the production. But just to bring in the fighters, that's how I would do it. I would map the blue fighter and the red fighter from the data source to the graphic. Now, before we got started, I told you we were going to use one graphic and be able to do 3 things with it. Well, this is our original graphic right here, the one that has the white bar and the black bar. So one of the things we want to be able to do with it is we want to bring in the promotion logo. So boom, we're going to bring in the promotion logo, and it's kind of going behind our second graphic, and you can see the logo. It's kind of neat. The other thing we're going to do is we are going to get rid of the logo, and then we're also going to get rid of the timer, the round background, and the round text, and we're going to bring in this text right here that says verse. So with this one graphic, we're going to be able to do 3 different things. We're going to be able to put it up this way as a graphic that says just red fighter versus blue fighter. Then we're going to be able to do it this way where it's going to have this is what we would have going during the round, where it's going to have both fighters' names, it's going to have the timer clicking down, and it's going to have what round it is. And then we also have that other option that we can do where we can use it this way as a third graphic. So we have one graphic with different elements on it that we can turn off and on, and use this one graphic as 3 graphics in one. Well, when you're controlling it during your production, how do you do that? Well, that's where vMix UTC comes in. We're basically just going to be using 3 commands. One is going to be the overlay command, where we're bringing the graphic in on a particular overlay field. The other 2 commands we're going to be using. One is going to be SetVisible, because we're going to be turning things off and on. So when we turn something on, it's going to be SetVisible on. When we turn something off, it's SetVisible off. And if we want to toggle it, we just use the command SetVisible. Now the other thing we're going to use is SetColor. And as I've told you before, the SetColor command does not currently come natively to vMix UTC, and it will in the future. There's a lot of really exciting things going on with vMix UTC. The developer of it had kind of set the project down for a while, but has recently picked it up and started to work with it. Pretty soon you're going to natively be able to control things within vMix UTC through Stream Deck. You're going to be able to use your whatever switcher you have. The switcher I have is the SandKeys SKP640, and what I'll be able to do is actually set those MIDI keys up and be able to do all kinds of different switching. I can turn off layers in vMix. I can shuffle things within vMix UTC, turning things off and on. So there's a lot of really cool functionality that's coming out really soon with vMix UTC, and when it does, and I've got the okay to share it with you, I will go ahead and share those tutorials with you as well. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go over to vMix UTC, and I'm going to show you how to control the graphic that we just created using just a few buttons. So this is our UTC, and the first thing we're going to do, we're just going to go ahead and bring that overlay in with the logo. So that's this one right here. So let's go ahead and click on that, and you can see when I click that button right there that the red fighter blue fighter matchup comes on with the Oni Fight logo right there. Well, I'll go ahead and clear that out, and then I'm going to bring up the fight matchup. And you can see when that comes up, you can see the red fighter versus blue fighter. Then we also have the timer, and then we have the what round it's in as well. So I'm going to clear that, and then we're going to come to the next one that shows this. And this one shows the red fighter versus the blue fighter. All I've done is I'm turning different things off and on, different layers off and on within this graphic. And I'll show you now how we do that. The very first one is this one right here. And all we're doing is we're setting SetXVisible on for index 0. Well, let's click on the title index right here. And you can see 0, we're using image. Image and source are synonymous. So we're using index 0, image, same as source. So we're turning the Oni logo off and on. Then, so that just to give it a little bit of time to do that, we're putting a timer for 20 seconds, and then we're doing the overlay. Then we're overlaying that entire graphic, and we're bringing that in on overlay channel 4. So let's do that again. Now, the next one right here, this is when we're bringing in the graphic without the Oni logo over the top of it. Well, how do we do that? Well, let's click on the cog, and you can see the first thing we're doing is we're setting SetXVisible off on that same input, the Oni Fight score bug. Again, index 0, let's click on the title index button. Index 0 image is the Oni logo. So the first thing we're doing right out of the box is we're turning the logo off. Then we're letting that timer run for 20 seconds, and then we're bringing the graphic in. So the only difference between those two graphics is we're bringing that same graphic in, but in the first one, we're bringing the logo on first, and then we're bringing the graphic in. The second button, we're turning the logo off, and then bringing the graphic in. That's the only difference in the two. Now this third one is quite a bit different. So we'll go ahead and click on this, and you can see where the information that was here is now gone. That white background that had the round on it is gone, and the timer is gone as well. How did we achieve that? Well, this is a little different. So we're going to click on the cog, and we've got a little bit more going on. We've got 8 commands that we're doing. As we've done before in tutorials, the first time we click this plus button, it brings in number 0. We click it again, it brings in number 1, number 2, and so forth. So with it being number 7, we know we have 8 commands going on in here. The first command is SetXVisible off, and that is for the OverlayInputX logo. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to turn that off. We're going to give that time to go away. Then we're going to overlay the graphic, the OverlayInputX scorebug graphic on overlay channel 4. And then what we do in order to get rid of the white background, let me go ahead and bring the whole thing back in again. Okay, now I brought in the graphic as it originally appeared. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to set the color of this background to this right here. Now, if you've worked with the hexadecimals before, you know that the hashtag and then 6 Fs is white. If you put 00 behind any color, it's going to make that color that you've chosen transparent. So that's all that I'm doing. It makes it look like that back's going off. Well, it's not. The white oval, I'm making it transparent. And so you think it's turning the white off, and it's really not. It's changing the white to a transparent color. So that's the first thing we do. Then we put in a quick, I think I said 20-second timer a minute ago, 20 millisecond timer. And then we start turning things off and on. We're going to set SetXVisible off on index 1, which is text. So let's see what that is. Index 1, which is text, is the timer. So this is turning the timer off. And then we're setting SetXVisible off on index 0, which is the round. So we're going to turn the timer off. We're going to turn the round off. And then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to set SetXVisible on, and we're going to set SetXVisible on for index 2, which is text. So let's click on the title editor, text, index 2 is the verse. So that's when the VS comes in. So all we're doing is turning things off and on. Now, this button right here, we want to have the logo ready to go when we come in next time. We don't want to accidentally bring it up and not have things appear the way we want it to appear. So we have a button here that says verse clear. And what that's going to do is it's going to put everything back the way that it was. So we're going to click on this. We're going to click the verse, and then we click this. And you can see where it puts everything back. So let's take a look at this button. First thing we're doing is setting the visible off on the image. We want to make sure that that's not on in this particular use. Then we're going to do that quick 20 millisecond timer. We're going to set the color of this background here back to white so that it's visible again. Then we're going to do another quick 20 millisecond timer. Then we're going to set SetXVisible on index 1, which is the timer or the clock. So we're going to turn this back on. And then we're going to set SetXVisible, I'm sorry, we're up here. Set SetXVisible on index 0, which is the round. So we're going to bring this back in. And then the last thing we're going to do is set SetXVisible off on index 2, and index 2 is the verse text. So that's what happens. We turn some things off and on, and it allows us to manipulate this graphic to make it appear like we have 3 separate graphics. And as you know, the more inputs that you have in vMix, the more resources it's going to use. So if you can economize your graphics down to a smaller number of graphics, is it going to save resources on your computer as well. That's going to conclude our tutorial for today. This was One Man Stream episode 127, which we entitled 3 Graphics in 1. And we showed you how you can make one graphic, and by utilizing vMix UTC, you have the ability to turn things off and on, and we can really turn that graphic into 3 different graphics. If you like what we're doing here at One Man Stream, please give us a thumbs up and a like. Make sure you do subscribe so that you'll be alerted as soon as new videos are posted. And if you get a chance, please stop by our website. That is onemanstream.com. That's where we have all the graphics we've created throughout this tutorial series, along with many of the vMix UTC controllers as well. They're just a few dollars a piece, but it is a way you can help support One Man Stream. And as always, thank you so much.